Hey, Almond Glen. My name is Rob Smith. I'm a president of the Almond Glen Owners Association. I'm one of the board members. I've been on the board since 2013, and over the years we've changed the way we handle board meetings. And I want to take a minute to talk about how we're currently doing board meetings as of today's Saturday, October the 14th, 2017. So, real quickly, what is a board meeting? First of all, a board meeting is a meeting for the board. That's pretty much the easiest way to put it. The board members, there's 5 of them in Almond Glen, they come together, they sit down at a table, and they talk about different things that need to be done, different pieces of board business that have occurred over the last month, 2 months, however long it's been since the last board meeting. We're required to have 4 board meetings per year. Now, what are the board meetings not? The board meetings are not an opportunity for the members to come in and yell at the board. They're not an opportunity for the board members or for the members of the association to come in and tell the board how they have to do things or what they've been doing wrong. There is an annual meeting where at the annual meeting the board is elected, and that's the opportunity for the membership to say, here's who we want to run things and here's why we want them to run, and then they choose those members. And then according to the bylaws, from then on out, it's on autopilot basically. It's up to the board to decide how they want to do things. If the membership's not happy with the way the board is doing things, that's when you do a recall meeting, and that's where enough members get together that they basically vote the whole board out. They get a whole new board and they start over again. Now, hopefully that process doesn't have to happen in order to get things done, and hopefully the board is continuously listening to people in the neighborhood, paying attention, making good decisions. But essentially, once you've elected your board, that's it for the year. You're on your own. Now, the Almond Glen Owners Association in the past has had meetings kind of by, I want to say, they were mostly unpublished. They weren't secret meetings. We had people accuse us of secret meetings. We had open board meetings where we scheduled meetings at different meeting halls and nobody came. We announced board meetings and nobody showed interest. We've had a few people pop up here and there, but for the most part, there's been a lack of interest. And that's normal. Nobody's mad about it. It was just really kind of a matter of, well, if nobody's going to come, there's no sense in paying money to rent a hall. However, for 2017, 2018, we're doing things differently. Here's what we're going to do. So we are required to have a quarterly meeting. That would be 4. We're going to have 6 meetings per year. We've got that scheduled out. Now, obviously, I'm talking about this as of October of 2017. There'll be a new board comes into play in July of 2017, and they could do everything totally different if they wanted to. However, hopefully we'll set a precedent that's kind of hard to break away from. What we decided to do was, beginning in January, there will be a board meeting, and then every 2 months, or every other month, I should say, after that. So January, no meeting in February, March, May, July. That'll be probably the annual meeting. Though the board could have 2 meetings. They could have an annual meeting and they could have a board meeting in addition to that. September and November. Now, September's board meeting should probably be for the purpose of mostly figuring out how the budget needs to look for the year. We had a make-up meeting in October, just a week ago maybe, for the purpose of that, for kind of getting things nailed down on the budget. And then the November board meeting, if everything goes well, should be a board meeting to nail down that budget and get it announced, because the main goal is to try to get things announced earlier. Every year we had the constant discussion of, I wish somebody would have told me earlier in December or earlier in the year that my dues were going to go up by a percentage or so in January, sorry. And we've heard that over the years. So that's the goal. And my role as the president, I'm constantly kind of in there trying to figure out how to guide the organization. So that's been a goal of mine. That's something I've asked the board to do. And this year we're trying to really get that nailed down. So the November board meeting of 2017 will be to try to finalize that budget. Now, it's kind of hard to do because we're doing a lot of guessing, but we're going to give it a lot of our best guesses, and then we'll just move on from there. So we'll get that budget announced, hopefully in November. I think it's November the 13th. We'll have that finalized, and then we'll get that budget announced in November. And then we'll get that information out so that people have that letter that tells them how much their dues are going in next year, if there's any kind of an increase or anything sooner. So also for board meetings, a goal of ours is to get the board meeting done as soon as we can, get the main business out of the way, and then try to have time for members to talk to the board. Now, that can come in a couple different ways. I've kind of done a open question and answer session over the years. I'm going to put my phone away because it's in my hand here. I'm sitting here talking. I've done a question and answer session over the years because I don't mind getting up in front of people and talking, and I'm confident in the decisions that I've made, and I'm supportive of the decisions the board has made, even when I don't necessarily agree with those decisions. But as a board, we're unified. So if the board goes into a room, sits down, make a decision, after it's done and over with, we're unified. Stand up. Hey, this is the way it is. Why? Because. So that's kind of been my way. However, that doesn't mean we're always going to do that way. Sometimes we may just say, hey, listen, we've only got 30 minutes tonight for people to talk. There's a bunch of people who wanted to speak. So when we have you come in, we'll have a sign-up roster, and we may just quickly, anybody who wants to speak, I need you to come over here. We'll look and see how many people we have. If there's 5 people who want to talk, we'll divide that time up and say, you have 2.5 minutes to get up and say whatever you want to say. We may not have an answer for you, though. If you stand up and ask something that we don't have an answer to, or we're not prepared to give an answer to, it's perfectly acceptable for the board to say, we'll consider what you've said tonight, thank you very much, and we'll move on to the next person. And that's just because you can't expect me to always be able to stand up, or if the vice president's there for the night. I'm not there, I'm out sick or something, or I have to work. If the vice president's there and she doesn't know because she wasn't involved in the decisions that were made maybe earlier that month, and you want to know what this is or what that is, we may not have the answer. So a question came up, for instance, one of our members noticed that he was looking at the balance sheets and the payments that went out, and he noticed that some doggy bags, some bags for cleaning up dog feces and stuff were included in the cost, $570 some. It's an annual dues for a single family home. I didn't know what they were. We don't buy those. So I asked the management company who was there, hey, what's up with these? She didn't know the answer either. She has to go back and look. So something that we know we didn't buy, something we know shouldn't be in our listing, we don't have an answer as to what it is right now. So we'll figure it out from there. And again, really appreciate that person who noticed that information. I don't want to say names if people don't want to be named particularly, but that's kind of the way we are. So we'll do the question and answer sessions as often as possible, but if the board comes in to meet and we've got a 2-hour meeting planned and we've got 2 hours of arguments to do, well, that's the most important thing. The board has to handle business. You can go on the Facebook page or Nextdoor or something, or you can send us an email about other questions, and if you email questions in, we'll try to be prepared to talk about those in advance of the board meeting. What was the other thought process I had here? I had something else I was going to throw out. I do these videos right off the top of my head, so the other thing, I guess, that would come into play is, I have no idea. I've lost track of my thought process. So that's pretty much it. Board meetings, 1 every 2 months, starting in January. I know what it was at the time. The times came up. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is generally the time we meet. There's a couple different reasons. One, we have to book the venue, and we wanted to be able to book the venue far in advance. And people said, well, why can't you do a Tuesday this time, and a Thursday that time, and a Wednesday this time, and a Monday this time? You're asking me, I don't even worry about the other board members right now. Let's just talk about me. You're asking me to be available on all these different days that you want for you. And I'm sorry, I'm just not. The same goes for the other board members, though. I'm not going to ask the other board members to do the same thing. I need you all to drop everything you're doing and become full-time board members, and your schedule needs to rotate the way it can. It's hard enough to get 5 people who are all active in their community, all members of different organizations, all have different occupations. It's hard enough to get them to say, yes, I'll volunteer for 1 full year to come to 6 meetings and to be a part of these decisions, let alone asking them to, jump around on their days and stuff. So we need to be able to nail down the dates, and we need to be able to nail down the dates in advance. So we agreed to do those on every second Monday of the month, and we agreed to do those from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So that meant we were able to book the Bell Johnson Center well in advance. We booked it all the way out for the next year, except for one date that I think had to be adjusted, which we've not announced anyways, so that's not a big deal. But we booked those all the way out. We booked all our times and everything. The business that we're booking, the Bell Johnson Center, it's not always available at different dates and different times, so we were lucky that we were able to book those second Mondays of the month. There's other organizations that have similar bookings that do every Tuesday or something like that, so we needed to make sure we had a date that would work, and that's the time frame that's available for the board. One of the board members, I think it was Virginia, who is the vice president, nailed it best when she said, the board, without a board, there is no board meeting. So if you're asking for us to jump all over the place, you may not have a board, and then you can have as many meetings as you want, and there's nobody to talk to. So we encourage you to come to the meetings. We hope you can make all of them. If you can't make all of them, we hope you can make some of them. We make the videos to make it more available and to get the information out there. So hopefully we're doing enough to serve everybody in at least some way. Thanks for taking time to watch this. More than 10 minutes. I apologize. Take care.